show. This is Nerdo Show, yeah, this is Nerdo Show. And if you ain't one of them, it's probably time to go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this weird corner of the internet. Except those who are easily offended. People who don't like bad form. People who take life too seriously.
You'll never make it out of here alive.
Anyways, letting rest.
Welcome.
Our not at all helpful host, Hickory, the dang and underwhelming. TDAU live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm, of course, Hickory, the dank and underwhelming. Welcome back. It's Season 2, Episode 13. Happy Liberation Day. Getting back on track and DOGE interview watch-along. That's right, we're going to watch the Brett Baer interview with the DOGE team on the show. Because it didn't look like a group of 19-year-olds, which I was led to believe. And I've spoiler alert, I've heard that Harry, Mr. Balls, did not show up. Anyways, yeah, a lot to get into tonight, man. We got some stuff going on, and I'm ready to cover some news stories, watch some news, share some memes, talk some crap. It's yeah, we got clips of all sorts of shit going on. Yep, all the way back to the 14th, my birthday, when I decided to just play guitar, have fun, hang out. Anyways, we're back to like a more normal show format. I might share some of the project that's going on behind the scenes later on, if if anybody cares. If not, whatever, it'll be okay. Anyways, yeah, we got a lot to get into. A mayor resigned because he was sent lewd and lascivious conduct. I guess that's the wrong way to put it. He sent adult material of himself to a fellow employee. We got some good memes, got some decent points. Mayor Adams holding up Kash Patel's book on the deep state. Amazing. Yeah, some politician L's. Anyways, it's gonna be a fun show, I think. I hope. I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. Let's go.
Yeah, back, baby.
Are you saying you want to show me your tits?
This is the story of a drunk who grew up kind of a punk, and then all his friends left him, and now he's here alone. This is the story of a drunk who grew up kind of punk, now he's here doing the dang and underwhelming live show.
This is a weird show.
Dang and underwhelming live show. Dang and underwhelming live show. Dang and underwhelming live show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. It is, of course, TDAU Live, Season 2, Episode 13. Liberation Day, getting back on track, and DOGE interview watch-along. Yeah, I went a little dark tonight. I was just kind of vibing it. That, and also kind of hoping to be able to see the lava lamp a little better. It's just... I can't win. I can't win. Anyways, let me pull this up on screen so we can have some laughs and watch along. Yep, these are both the same, so I can exit that one. Now we just got that one, so we can share some audio. Oh, this was an older one. I sympathize with folks losing their jobs for not responding to an email from DOGE. I lost mine for not getting a jab. Skipped all proper safety testing, pushed out on half the world. But those damn email replies are brutal. I wish I could do a good Kermit voice. I wish I could do a good Kermit voice. Yeah, this was happening 2 weeks ago because people are dumb. This dude saying, "How dare you attack Tesla? These poor cars have feelings too. Why would anyone do this?" Here's loser Kid Rock shooting cans of Bud Light because he was mad at trans people being on the can. Which I'm not a fan of DC Drano, but he nailed it. They were like trying to equate shooting Bud Light cans you bought yourself with committing arson at Tesla dealerships on cars you don't own. Really? Yep, that's the comparison, my friend. Not my friend. I don't know that guy. Oh, this one made me chuckle. I haven't actually watched the video yet, but I will pull it up with audio. Hopefully X gets along with me tonight.
And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find the rationale behind this. And I found it in this book. I'm going to encourage every New Yorker to read it.
Oh man, that's too good. That's one of those things where you're like, is there a chance this is actually AI? Because that just seems like a little too on the nose. Oh, this one made me laugh a little. The Oval tweeted, Trump just enacted the largest tax hike in American history, and Caitlin Sinclair said, damn, didn't notice, I live in New York City. Yeah. Which is ironic, considering she's currently the one responsible for a bunch of people losing Medicaid in New York right now. This one, I didn't actually want to watch the whole video, because I do want to read it. This one from Colin Rugg. North Dakota mayor resigns after he filmed a video of him pleasuring himself on a lunch break and sent it to his city attorney. Ella of the Year contender right here. Oh yeah, we're only in March. We got plenty of time. Mayor of Minot, Tom Ross, or Minute, I don't know, resigned after he sent a video of him spanking it to city attorney Stephanie Stalheim. Ross says the video was supposed to be a sexy video for his girlfriend that he filmed on his lunch break. I do take responsibility for this mistake. I tried to immediately correct it and was unable. The decision I made falls in line with all my work on behalf of the city of Minute. I put my heart and soul into this community, Ross said, and apparently a lot of energy in other places as well. I'd be sad if it wouldn't be sad if he wasn't like getting paid from taxpayer funding. Like, I think it's funny that he made it clear that he did it on his lunch break, and they all just believed him. Like, he wasn't just like getting up randomly to go do it. That's too funny. That's stuff you don't expect every episode, but here we are. I mean, hey, they rehired 2 Minute CNN, so you can't be too surprised. Yeah, and then we got we got a full 30-minute show, 30 minutes 51 seconds. Probably going to watch most of it. I'm gonna throw this music on, grab a beverage real quick. Let's throw this one on. I will be right back. Hold on.
There once was a magician named Hickory who wasn't too funny with a belly of tea. Nerves went up, the beers went down. Oh, boys too drunk for the show. Drunk and underwhelming's come to trick you with cards and steal your rum. One day when your show is done, you'll have to pay him to leave and go.
Okay, we are back. So yeah, I haven't watched this yet. Wanted to watch it live with you guys. It's the special report from Brett Baer with interviews of the DOGE team.
Thanks for having us and doing this. I know there's a lot of interest in this. First let me start with you, Elon. What are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. So from a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion. Or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce.
I mean, it's crazy that we have a budget deficit of $2 trillion. That's nuts, man. Like, that's such just an astronomical amount of money. And we just don't care where it goes.
The spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%. Which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
I'm going to talk to
In
all
fact,
the
if
guys.
not making it better.
I'm going to talk to all the guys here about the specifics. But for you, what's the most astonishing?
Okay, we're at 59 seconds. Let's go find, before I get too deep, just to point out how absolutely nonpartisan reducing waste and fraud was pretended to be. No, I went back. Whoops. Bookmarks. Okay. Should have pulled them up on different tabs beforehand, but we'll be all right.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. Sure, some of these cuts aren't that big, but no amount of waste is acceptable. Not when it's your money.
Yeah, okay. Just to make sure that, we were on the same page when it comes to cutting government waste. And to be honest, DOGE has been incredibly transparent, like far more transparent than apparently our government's been spending our money this way. Okay, we're a minute in.
Having us and doing this, I know there's a lot of interest in this.
Out, which seems
It's an astonishing thing you've found out in this process.
the sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was
A casual billion, to be clear.
literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey.
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then
Like something something that you could have hired somebody to make on Fiverr.
there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
You technically are a special government employee, and you're supposed to be 130 days. Are you going to continue past that, or do you think that's what you're going to do? Or
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
so in that time frame, 130
Yes.
days, and
That would be wild if he pulls this off. Like, just absolutely insane.
the process is a report at some point at 100 days.
Trillion. dollars.
Not really a report. We are cutting the waste and fraud in real time. So every day that passes, our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week. And so far, we are succeeding.
And I'm going to talk of the specifics.
Which shows how much money we spend, because it's such a gargantuan amount of money just wasted by our government. Mostly doing crap studies and grants for nothing.
But there obviously are DOGE critics who are reading all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are
Probably not going to the official DOGE website and looking at what they're publishing all the time.
attacking you, and they characterize the approach as this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once.
Solid advice on most things in life.
And actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with
And it's all publicly posted on a website that you can go look at.
the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do make mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move on.
Some people say this shouldn't take a rocket scientist. Steve Davis, you
Oh, that's good.
are a rocket scientist.
Used to be.
Yeah, I know. And now essentially you're the chief operating officer of DOGE, day-to-day operations. Fair to say?
Yeah, part of the Doge team.
So how did you end up here? What's the biggest challenge you see?
This is interesting because this is like the first time I think that this group of men have spoken publicly about what they're doing. They've published everything, but
The reason I'm here, which is probably for many, is that I think the goal is incredibly inspiring. I think most of the taxpayers in the country would agree that in order to have the country going bankrupt would be a very bad thing, and therefore the country going not bankrupt is a good thing. That all of us are willing to kind of put our lives on hold in order to do. I think the thing that's special right now is we actually believe there's a chance to succeed. That there's an administration that's supportive and a great cabinet and just a great group that will actually make success a possible outcome. And I think that's, given the inspiring mission and given the non-zero chance of success, it was worth doing.
I just like to.
that's wild. Just helping out, getting called upon. And
Sort of
performing this
reemphasize that
duty.
point. The success of DOGE is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money. That wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
That's wild. Real-time publishing on things that they find that our government's wasting money on. I wonder, it's like what Rand Paul's been dreaming about.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level?
We try to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud.
Yeah, that's probably a very good point.
It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. It's nice to see people cross the aisle once in a while. But usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or
that the richest man on earth is trying to steal our Social Security money.
illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree
So the richest
with?
man on paper.
And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
Joe Gabbia, besides Elon, you're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and
The founder of Airbnb is side projecting. This is it's kind of wild. The billionaire Avengers.
they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I loved the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years.
That's insane.
And so as you dug into it, we found
Like just the amount of time it would take to digitize like all that even. It's just like they're so far behind that it's mind-boggling. Like you can have a team working on the rest of their lives just to get this properly digitized.
retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants
I think he means digitizing the process, not all the backlog.
who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Because right now it's by hand.
Yes, the
That's
retirement
so
process is all
mind-boggling.
by paper, literally with people carrying paper and manila envelopes into this gigantic mine.
Where does
So
our
they can't
tax money
retire more
go?
than a certain number every month.
Yes.
About 8,000 a month.
That's how the reason we discovered it was we were saying like, well, let's encourage voluntary retirement. They said, well, the most they could do is 8,000 a month, and even under normal circumstances, it can take 6 to 9 months just to have your retirement paperwork processed, and they often get the calculations wrong. So we're like, well, why would it take so long to retire? And they're like, well, because of the mine. And we're like, what do you mean a mine? What's a mine got to do with retiring? And that's where we discovered that all the retirement stuff is still done by paper in a process that looks identical to what occurred in the 1950s. Like we took a
That's mind-boggling, especially with the size of the bureaucracy now compared to that. Holy shit.
snapshot of the mine when it first started in the 50s to today. It looks the same.
It's amazing. So how long do you think it'll take to turn over?
We're working as fast as we can. Probably next couple of months we'll have this overhauled. And I really think, again, like, why are we subjecting our federal workers to processes that they actually have to go through a training just to retire from the government? There's a whole training program that people have to go through in order to retire. I think we can do better for them.
Oh, that's so efficient, guys.
Moganasi,
We've really
DOGE
milked
engineer.
every penny.
You go into
Holy
these places,
crap.
one of the more than a dozen engineers, first people to go into the agencies and view the computer data sets. Tell me what you're finding, and for people who don't understand how that process works, explain it for them.
Yeah. I'll say the first thing that got me really excited about DOGE was learning basically the state of government computers.
I got a Google message. Let's check it to make sure they're not saying you got pulled. No. No. Okay. You never know watching news shows.
By some estimates, government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old, in the case of something like Social Security or the IRS. So really critical systems are old.
Yeah.
They cost a lot of money to maintain, and they
suck. Like, and they're old for a reason, is because we would be or we're past that. Yeah. No, yeah, it needs an overhaul. This is nuts.
the efforts to improve them are often very delayed. So I thought I'm a software engineer that maybe could make a difference here, and that's really what inspired me at a high level.
Yeah, there's no like incentive for anybody. Like, none of the politicians who vote on the stuff actually have to deal with any of this crap, so nobody cares. Like, oh yeah, retirement system from the. I mean, it's you get another 9 months paid after I declare that I'm retiring, and I can step away from office, and it takes me 9. Like, they'd love that.
There's a
give you an
lot of
example.
mystery about Social Security and a lot of words about it here's what Democrats have been saying about it.
It's absurd that Elon Musk is trying to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security.
Elon Musk and President Trump have set their sights on cutting Social Security.
The goal is clear.
Yeah, the illegals.
Destroy Social Security from within.
You're in
That might, in theory, if the crazy spending in Social Security is as crazy as it looks so far, and they get into it deeper, they're saving it because there's no way we can continue to fund all that crap. Like, isn't it like they're like, Social Security is going to be over in 8 years. We should continue spending fraudulent funds through Social Security.
I mean, you're in the computers.
Oh,
What's
morons.
happening there? What are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't line up with my experience on the ground. And I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
That's nuts. That is crazy. 40% of the phone calls going in the Social Security office are fraud.
40%.
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they
To be honest, that probably lines up with my incoming calls on my cell phone, to be quite frank.
They steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
Yeah, because if you're not spending it on fraud and waste, there'd be a lot more money in that fund for people who actually deserve it.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So, Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts.
The government can't keep up websites.
Freaks people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. I mean, but is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
No. The amount of issues that were with the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yes.
Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This is
That's nuts. Over 15 million. And like, I'm assuming it's true because I haven't seen anything to fact check this wrong. There's a lot of things I've seen said about Elon and his team, but I haven't seen many people saying, actually, there was only 10 million.
And it's something that's been identified.
Then again, how many people that hate Elon actually sat down and watched an interview with him? They didn't. I don't like the guy, but I'll listen to what he has to say. And he's an autist for sure. But once in a while, he makes very good points.
As a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least from an IG report. So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this 2008 and nothing was done. And so
so they've known it for 17 years and they didn't do anything.
15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Brad Smith, working at HHS.
That's nuts, man. 15 million over 120 years old and thousands of fraudulent ones. And then the illegal Social Security numbers bomb dropped earlier with 5 million, something like that.
And obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH. What are you finding?
Yeah, well, I'd say there's a couple of things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15.
That's nuts. The university takes 60% off the top. That's worse than, like, the university is a research pimp, bro.
So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
Wow. Wow.
They don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non.
27 different chief information officers at the HHS. I wonder why research has not been going by very swiftly. Because, we're not using our grant money and then putting these things together to connect bases. We're just researching a bunch of stuff and funneling that money to universities. Really, because they're taking 60%. Wild, dude.
Technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid of, is they don't know what this is all looking like, and is it going to affect me in the long term?
It's going to affect them. It's going to affect people very positively. So the changes that we're doing here will ensure the solvency of the American government, of the United States of America. This is what we're trying to do: is ensure that people do receive their benefits in the future. And you can only receive your benefits if the company.
Yeah, because we keep getting told 8 years, right?
If the country is operating in a healthy and competent way.
Anthony Armstrong, DOGE, Office of Personnel Management, Morgan Stanley banker, M&A guy. Yeah. Money, and this is a lot of money sloshing.
Yeah. The funny part is that if these guys had just started up a shady NGO, and just embezzled a bunch while pretending to help, none of these people on the left would be complaining. Like the Elizabeth Warrens and the Bernie Sanders wouldn't be complaining at all, because there's a lot of that going on with other billionaires. But these guys are actually trying to weed out some of the embezzlement and garbage that's going on, and particularly the fraud, man. That's like it's crazy how much money this government is just throwing away because they're incompetent.
Rushing around.
There's a lot of money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades. So
it's only going up.
It's only going up. You never take it away. So that leaves you with duplicative functions. It leaves you with overstaffing, and it leaves you with functions in the wrong places. So a couple of examples. Duplicative functions. Brad mentioned 27 CIOs. If you kept going with Brad, he would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices in HHS, right? Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and that's not unusual, by the way.
Yeah, that's totally how private businesses that work efficiently and actually get stuff done would work, right? You got oh my God.
Offices like
it's also
that.
not making anyone healthy.
This is not about the employees there. There's many hardworking, well-meaning people who took these jobs. These jobs were out there. They applied for them. They took them. They're doing what's there. It's just that they're duplicating the effort of 40 offices. So you've got that. You've got overstaffing. A good example of overstaffing would be the IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated to provisioning laptops and cell phones. So if you join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year, you can
re-provision. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Right. The whole IRS could be handled once a month.
That's insanity.
A month. So that doesn't make any sense. And President Trump's been very clear. It's scalpel, not hatchet, and that's the way it's getting done. And then once those decisions are made, there's a very heavy focus on being generous, being caring, being compassionate, and treating everyone with dignity and respect. And if you look at how people have started to leave the government, it is largely through voluntary means. There's voluntary early retirement, there's voluntary separation payments. We put in place deferred resignation, the 8-month severance program.
Yeah, that's huge, dude. take 8 months salary to go work on your dream for 8 months, or go work on your dream for 6 months, and if you can't do it, then or you're not getting there, take 2 months to find a new job.
So there's a very heavy bias towards programs that are long dated, that are generous, that allow people to exit.
To be honest, I really enjoy my job, and I would have a hard time not being. If they put out a blanket 8-month severance package, I'd have a hard time not being like, yeah, I guess I could always apply again in the future if I need to, but with the current market around here, I'll be all right.
And go and get a new job in the private sector. And you've heard a lot of news about RIFs, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice. So
they're selected if they're leaving.
It is
basically almost no one's gotten fired. That's what we're saying.
0.15%. People are freaking out, even though I wonder what the, if I remember at the end of this, I'll have to look it up and see what the rate of firing government employees over not taking the
Tom Krause, working at Treasury, you are having access to the payment system, oversees all the outgoing payments. Essentially, those payments were going places we didn't know where they were going, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case, Brett. As an ex-CFO of a big public tech company, really what we're doing is we're applying public company standards to the federal government. And it is alarming how the financial operations and financial management is set up today. There is actually really only one bank account that's used to disperse all monies that go out of the federal government.
Time out. One bank account.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. A couple weeks ago, it had $800 billion in it, but it's the Treasury General account.
There's one bank account, but they've got 1,400 people handing out cell phones and laptops at the IRS. Yeah. Peak efficiency, guys.
So when
Holy
you hear,
shit.
some of my colleagues here, what they're talking about in terms of the fraud, you have to ask, well, why is this allowed to happen at a financial level? Well, it's actually quite simple but alarming. The Treasury, up until now, and thanks to President Trump, we're fixing this. In fact, there's an executive order that he just signed the other day, which is protecting America's bank account, because it really is the taxpayers' money. One, we're changing the culture. The culture is been not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what's right relative to financial operations. There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of billions of dollars of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated.
Yeah, like not a single, like no government entity can pass an audit, even though private businesses are required to do them all the time. That's because private businesses actually have some form of responsibility. They can't just have their buddies at the Fed print money.
The financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The federal government cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand.
Oh, they don't have any of it, do they?
None of those things were mandatory.
Holy shit. Oh, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Holy crap. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's like listening to them describe a true crime story. Like, you don't want to laugh because it's absolutely awful, but it's how you cope with it in the moment. I feel like that's how it's like watching a car wreck. I don't know what else to do. I'm just like, wow. I'm really glad I've been playing into this thing the whole time.
Until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week.
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any house.
Dude, I wish I had a friend in government back in the day. That would have been handy. They're not even attempting to go after anybody that's been fraudulent. Like, there hasn't been any going after these people that they found yet. But there's just like shutting it down. It would have been pretty lucrative, man. Start a business, start sending invoices into the government.
Household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Tyler Hassan,
that was a
Interior Department, you're a
good metaphor, right? Like, the government has one bank account and any of the agencies can just send money out of it. Like, if you had an account, but anybody in your family or friends group could just make payments with nobody. Although I feel like they would be more compassionate to you than the employees at random departments would be to the government.
Oil company CEO.
Correction, not to the government, to the taxpayers' funding.
Reviewing contracts before they're approved for funding. What are you finding?
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found that customer service survey contract. I actually have an example of one right here. I could have done this in high school. And
Is that right?
I found it.
Is that bad?
I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now reviewing every single contract, every single grant, and when things come to my attention that don't make sense, I'm bringing them to Secretary Burgum, and he's been fantastic. He's a businessman. He's very supportive of DOGE. It's been wonderful to work with him.
Is the battle between government of decades and decades of buildup and business, which you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other?
It shouldn't be. Because things should be run efficiently, like the people, the people running the government should act like it's their money, right? Like they should be and maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe that we have a bunch of people who don't know how to do finances anymore, and they just spend all willy nilly, and that's like they don't care because it's not their money. And it's a lot of rich people in government. That would make a lot of sense, but it's crazy to think that like. They wouldn't care. Like, they just don't give a shit. Because, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People are still going to vote those people in. They've been doing it for, I mean, Biden was in Senate for 50 years while this shit built.
I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
And lots of them. I don't mean to just pick him out. He's just the 50-year career guy that retired most recently. There's plenty of them, don't get me wrong.
Well, this is a revolution. And I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work. And it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was you know who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters.
Yeah,
it's a tell. There's some of these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams NGO that basically didn't exist, and suddenly gets $2 billion.
Yeah, that's another crazy one that needs to be looked into a lot more, I believe.
From the federal government. She has why? And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense-wise, would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of DOGE's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive those Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. I mean, the reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent. We're going to go bankrupt. And nobody's going to get anything.
Why are you guys all doing it? I mean, you can pipe up, but you don't.
I'm interested to hear this too, because that's like a very big question I think a lot of people have is like, why would a bunch of people who are super successful give a shit? I think it's partly because some of these people actually care about this country and want to see it continue, and are just watching it get bankrolled into the ground, and are like, "Hey, I've been successful here." I think part of it too is that these people have enough money that they're not too worried about backlash. A lot of them are like the former CEO or the founder of. They're not like active in their company. If they are, it's banking. So like they're not going to get as much heat. Like people aren't going to go mess around with the bank that guy ran. You know what I mean? Like they are like Tesla dealerships and shit. So like I think part of me thinks Elon's crazy for making the sacrifice and hopping on board and trying to do this and have a bunch of people hate him, even though they loved him 5 years ago. Or even 3 years ago. Basically, before he bought Twitter, people loved him. And then they started liking him less, and then he endorsed Trump after Trump took a bullet. And yeah. And then now with DOGE, they keep hearing these politicians screaming, they're taking away your Social Security and your Medicaid and your Medicare, and idiots believe it, even though you can go to the DOGE website and they're really just taking 120-year-old people off Social Security and trying to make sure that, there's enough funding. And don't get me wrong, I don't take this like with a grain of salt. I take it with a grain of salt. This is Fox News. Who knows? This can mostly be lies. On the flip side, if it were, because this was almost a week ago now, there'd be a very detailed report by every major paper indicating all the lies that were there. And yeah, I don't seem to be talking about that too much. They just keep screaming that Elon Musk is trying to take away your funding. So they clearly haven't looked into it and just continue to lie about it.
You have to be here, right? I mean, you don't have to be doing this.
I have blessed with 4 beautiful children, my wife and I. But we have a real fiscal crisis, and this is not sustainable. And what's worse, back to my children and everyone else's children, is we are burdening them with that debt, and it's only going to grow.
Steve, there's not a lot of hierarchy here. You guys are kind of all approaching it in different, silos, but with the same kind of goal, right? I mean, this is really Silicon Valley, private sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly. We're headed in a bad path, but the chance of success exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees.
There's twice as many government credit cards as there are employees. Not actually twice, 4.6, 2.6. So like 180% as much credit cards there are federal employees.
Wow. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. That's a whole other...
It's a negotiation.
That's ironic, right? It doesn't have that good a rewards program, but has 4.6 million credit cards in circulation.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
That's very
so
government of
the
us.
teams have worked together, and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million.
They've gotten rid of 300,000 government credit cards. And it still seems like an insane number.
So
we're taking it easy. But clearly there should not be, more. There should not be more credit cards than there are people. Yeah.
Joe, middle-level employees. Are
one would think, right?
A benefit to being empowered by taking out bureaucracy? I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, I think what you're seeing is taking the best of Silicon Valley and the business world and bringing it into the government. We're bringing the best practices and the best methodologies, and people are inspired, right? Especially on the retirement process, which I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize and get off of paper since early 2000s, very unsuccessfully. Every attempt has gone over budget and been canceled because it hasn't been successful. And so, you know, I showed up and I feel like I'm here because it's an interesting problem. We can use design to solve it and good engineering and really create a better experience for everybody.
We're talking about elementary financial controls.
Yeah, talking about real basic stuff here that hasn't been implemented because nobody seems to care because it's not my house. I feel like that's what I feel like that's what everybody is scared. Like all of these politicians want to grandstand and talk about how much they care about this place, and then all it takes is like 9 CEOs to look through some stuff that we've done, and basically politicians for the last 60 years have just thrown their hands in the air and been like, "Yeah, it's not my house," which, if anybody's familiar with, was something that people who are assholes do at parties when they break stuff and they just leave it there and they say, "Not my house." I feel like that's how politicians have been operating since before I was alive.
That are necessary for any company to function. So, like, if the federal government, if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does, then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be delisted. The officers would be arrested. The changes we're putting in place will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well. The ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other. So if the computer systems don't talk to each other, then you can exploit that gap, and fraudsters exploit that gap, take advantage.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left in this, but I gotta scoot to the little boys' room. I will be right back.
There once was a magician named Hickory who wasn't too funny with a belly of tea. Nerves went up, the beers went down, oh boys too drunk for the show. Drunk and underwhelming's come to trick you with cards and steal your rum. One day when your show is done, you'll have to pay him to leave and go. Not 10 minutes for his next pour. The keg went dry, he went to the store. Didn't have the ale he had gotten before, so from craft to crap we go. Drunk and underwhelming's come to trick you with cards and steal your rum. One day when your show is done, you'll have to pay him to leave and go. La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Boy was served his whiskey water. He tried to harpoon the barkeep's daughter. He found out, reclaimed the drinks he bought her. How could he stoop that low? Drunk and underwhelming's come to trick you with cards and steal your rum. One day when your show is done, I'll have to pay him to leave and go. No strings attached, the magician was freed. He had a mind full of filth and greed. He belonged to the magician's creed, but he's too drunk for the show. Drunk and underwhelming's come to trick you with cards and steal your rum. One day when your show is done, you'll have to pay him to leave and go.
Okay, I'm back. Let's get to the end of this thing here.
If, for example, there were over $300 million of small business administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's 300 million under the age of 11 and over 300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be loans babies. So the youngest recipient of a small business administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Which makes me wonder, is that's like, I'm assuming to do something like that, you have to like register your business in your child's name, but like, is it legal? That's like a very good question. I'm going to have to ask Grok here in a minute. Is it legal to start a business in your child's name before they're? I mean, like you could start it in their name. Like I could start a business in Hickory Jr. LLC for the demon spawn that is coming. But like, I don't think I could put like HickoryTDAU Jr. with his social security number and his birth date and all that shit on the paperwork and make it legal, right?
Obviously, it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There's literally
that's nuts.
The terrible things are being done. Is what we're saying.
And how
we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
we are stopping
You are
it.
stopping it. The reason this is
Absolutely.
happening is because the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yes.
Right. And so you don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very simple fix eliminates tremendous fraud. And that there are multiple systems across the government.
So the Small Business Association doesn't cross-reference with Social Security. Little hickey. Yeah, I'm excited. He's going to be a dope little human. It's his rap name, yo. He's going to come out the womb spitting fire. But the Small Business Association doesn't communicate with the Social Security office. So when you place a loan with someone's name and Social Security number, they could be 9 months old. The Small Business Association would have zero idea. That's nuts, dude. That's insanity.
Where the systems are not speaking with one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
Are you
so one of the ways that, like one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that someone is marked as live and as sort of just that social security number is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person. Because the databases don't talk to each other, all they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security, but they didn't. But that person, a fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you surprised at some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in? There's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Are you surprised by that pushback?
Well, it's the DC Circuit is notorious for having a very far-left bias. And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're the ones getting this money. Does that seem like a system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Last thing, do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, go for it. And here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate the time today, and hopefully it took some of the myth and mystery out of DOGE and what's happening behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a bad little interview. Brett Baer did all right. Not like a fan or anything. Definitely not a fan of Fox News in general, but not a bad little interview. He got to some stuff.
Thanks for having us and doing this.
Got it laid out, man. Let's share. Which one should I do it on? Screw it. I'll share the guess I could share the most recent one. Gotta open. Yeah. Just working on it. She'll take a second. But yeah, working on a new project. I have been over the past 3 or 4 months learning how to program a little bit. And it's nowhere near where it needs to be, but we're getting there. And yeah, I guess I'll announce it. Screw it. It's Benji that, right? I'm gonna build a video game. Started playing around with Unreal a while ago. I've been working on it, learning how it goes. I've probably gone through like 8 different game iterations. I do have enough I myself, but who'll be the main character in this story, to be clear. HickoryTDAU. The game will be called The Magician, the Myth, the Underwhelming, at least tentatively. And it's going to be a survival game. And it's going to center around a dank magician who unfortunately wakes up having no idea where he is on a beautiful island. A large, beautiful island, multiple acres, surrounded by ocean with no way to escape. And he's got to figure out how to survive on that island by collecting tools and weapons. Using those tools and weapons to harvest things like trees, rocks, building things like forges, hunting animals, possibly catching fish. We'll see how far we get. I'd like to do lobsters. I thought that would be a really fun game element to go swim and pick lobsters out of a small ocean pool. And it'll be a basic survival game, but along the way you'll find potions and things we'll refer to as substances that teleport you to other places where it's like a separate mini game with generally similar controls. So it's easy to pick up and go with. And if you the item complete set objectives in the mini games, then you get to come back to your main world with whatever item you won, essentially in the substance level. But so right now I'm just working on the main game elements. None of the graphics are none of the graphical elements are in. Actually, before, yep. Oh yeah, I should have clicked remember my choice. No, oh well. I got to do that so it reloads the what I was working on the last time I worked on it. Worked on this quite a bit. Actual their character right now. Let's see, I can. Let me open the start level so I can show you that. Yeah, I gotta move those maps. Yeah, now I gotta figure out main menu. Okay. So yeah, let me move that. Stop screen, present, share screen. No, it's not going to do that with audio, so I'll have to share it without audio. I apologize. Okay, let's see, that should. Okay, let me check that. So yeah, we'll start the test plane. I'll show you guys where it's at. So far, we got menus. And yeah, I do need to figure that out because that should pop up. Shouldn't pop up yet. It should pop up behind here. Huh, that is weird. I think it's because this is playing on top of it. Let me, shit. Graph. Okay, that should make that not pop up. Okay. Huh. Did I not compile? Yeah. No, that was construct. Shit. Okay. Sorry, I thought this was gonna like work right off the bat. It totally didn't. Okay, that should work now. There we go. We got an options menu. And the options we can change. I need to change the color there. Full screen. Nope. Okay, we're there. Save those, go back. Yeah, no, it gets a little, my internet got a little shaky there. I'm sorry. Start. This is just our test map. So we have a deer, an immobile enemy, who throwing a little pink thing. Once in a while, that's damage. That'll damage me. But you can't see it because I don't have the other other HUD enabled. But if we were to say like pick up a rifle, we can then pick up a gun and a rifle. Guns on our back. Guns on our back. Another pistol. Boom. Now we got a rifle and a shotgun on our back. Yeah, still working on the aim in here, but yeah, she fires. Boom. Enemy gone. Yeah, the deer doesn't take damage yet. How bad StreamYard might be frozen. All right, let's save and then I can exit. It's like StreamYard might hate me. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if I'm not here. Huh. Well, that works. Yeah, I feel like StreamYard's going to crash out here in a second. Yep, no, nothing's really want to work. Hold on. Okay, we'll see if that did it. God, that went well. I wonder how bad that looked on screen. Yeah, I might just have to take some screen captures of it. Man. Anyways, that's all I got on this one. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm, of course, Hickory the Dank and Underwhelming. Thank you guys for hanging out. It was fun. Sorry if it got a little glitchy there at the end. I forget sometimes that my computer barely wants to run Unreal. And probably doesn't want to run StreamYard and Unreal at the same time. So, yeah. Next time I'll be sure to get some video captured of it. Hopefully the computer handles that. If not, I'm going to have to start working on packaging so I can open it and play it as a game. Yeah, the irony is when the full engine's open, it doesn't work as well. Morgan Wallen was asked to perform Joe Jonas' part on SNL sketch, A Big Dumb Lie. Huh. Morgan Wallen, the Bobber song. Anyways, that's all I got. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm, of course, Hickory the Dank Underwhelming. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, Dank Magician out. Cheers.
Above all else, I just want to say thank you. Have a beautiful night. Drunk Magician out. Cheers. Now let's get the credits.